You didn't know that? Mr. Eagle, he made new glasses.
Actually, they're from last year. They're vintage. Vintagey.
I didn't know that. Is it in the world?
Last year's model.
No.
50% discount.
How much? Like $1?
What? You
It should be
insulting me?
big one.
Why? Total paper.
Money is paper too.
Wait, a slightly expensive kind of paper.
What is that?
These people are.
CJ. Okay. Ready to go? So, how many of you are playing sports? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Many of you. And where do you play?
In the field. No, you don't.
Practice
You games.
CJ, what sport do you play?
Soccer.
Soccer. Where do you play? Where do you play?
Here.
On the field?
Yeah.
Where do you practice?
On the field.
Okay.
Africa.
Lauren, what do you play? Badminton. And where do you practice? In the gym. Where do you practice? Where do you play? Like play the games.
In the gym.
Okay. So you play the games, right? So you have the competition, like the real thing happens the same place practice happens. Is that right? So you practice on the field, then you play your games on the field. Is that right? Is that the same for other sports?
Not mine.
Well, basketball, you play in the court, you practice in the court.
Yay.
Maybe some are a little different, right?
I practice in the practice range and play in the field, in the golf field.
Right.
Yeah,
Golf is a
mine,
little different.
yes.
But I want you to think of your writer's notebook like the soccer field. Because it's a place where you draft and revise, but it's also a place where you practice. A place where you strengthen specific writing muscles through practice. That's what we're going to work on today. Because you guys, you've come in with a flash draft already done. We did that yesterday. Right? You have that draft done, and to push ourselves further, we're going to do something that we've already done. We're going to look back to our mentor text, to the techniques that we've learned, okay, to write powerful narratives. Right? I've updated this. There's some new stuff up there. Not new, but it's a new chart. What we're going to practice today is using our notebooks to push ourselves forward. All right? So I'm going to show you how this might work. Now, in the mentor text, there was one part that really shook me. Right? It broke my heart. I cried a little bit. My heart may have even shrunk a little. Right? Right here. Smokey is inside a big old pretzel can with a hose attached, clawing at the sides as my brother pumps the gas in. Right? So this is the moment that the cat's dying. Right? It really got to me. It moved me. It made me sad. Now, as a reader, or as a writer, I'm thinking, what's James Howe doing there that caused me to feel that way? All right? So I look at my techniques, and I realize that, okay, in that part of the story, the author is zooming in on that one powerful moment, right, and capturing the feelings, capturing that moment in a way that causes the reader to experience some kind of emotion. So I say, okay, I want to use that technique in my writing. So here's my story, part of my story. Now this story is about the first time I could go outside and play without my mom watching. And right as I was leaving, she said, "Billy, don't climb any trees." And Albert, what do you think I did? Went right up the tree. Right? So I wrote a story about that, and this is one part, okay, that I'm looking back at now. Right? Just like you're going to look at your flash draft, I'm looking back at it. Okay? So I'll read it to you. "Don't look down, just keep climbing. You're almost at the top," Bobby urged. I swallowed and snuck one quick look. Mark was still standing at the bottom of the tree, holding my dark blue sneakers with one hand and shielding his eyes with the other as he looked up at me. So how did I do? Does this have tiny actions? Does it have inner thinking? Does it have description? Is it detailed? How did I do? Am I reading, or am I telling the story from the narrator's point of view? Sort of, right? Like, don't look down, just keep climbing. So that's what I could hear, right? I swallowed and snuck one quick look. That's pretty good. Mark was standing at the bottom holding dark blue sneakers. Now, dark blue sneakers. You think that's important to the story? Probably not. Right? Is the way the cat claws at the can, is that an important detail? Yeah, right. That causes Albert to cry. Right? Because it creates this image in his head that's sad. Right? But here, this guy holding blue shoes, it doesn't have any real meaning in the story. So maybe that's something I want to think over and write again. So what I'm going to do, okay, is step back in that moment with my magic glasses. I'm going to go back through the eyes of the narrator, okay? These are the 2018-19 version, limited, very expensive. So I put them on, and I transport back to the top of that tree, right? And I tell the story again from the top.
Fabulous.
And these are some of the changes I would make, all right? The tree swayed slightly, and I tightened my grasp on the trunk, right? So there I am at the top, arms around the tree. A rough piece of bark dug sharply into my forearm, here, but I didn't dare move. Who knows what bark is?
Cheese. Bark stuff.
Trees
Skin
skin.
on them up here. No,
What?
not that.
Trees skin.
Like the skin on the tree, right? It's kind of dry and rough. And for someone reading this, they can imagine what that feels like, squeezing that tree. "I think I need help getting down," I shouted, my voice shaking and scared. I thought about my mom's warning, and fear creeped into my thoughts. "Hold on," Bobby called. He circled around the base of the tree, way below my feet. He spoke to Mark in a low voice, and I couldn't hear what they were saying. So I'm in the narrator's eyes right now, right? Because they're way down there. I can't hear them, but they're talking to each other. Suddenly, Bobby grabbed Mark's arm, pulled him away from the tree. "Run," Bobby commanded, and they bolted for the playground's gate. And they left me there up in the tree. Because my friends were terrible. No. So this version, can you see how I went back and I made a real conscious effort to zoom in to that moment, right, and tell the story through the narrator, through my eyes, right? I went back and I played that movie in my head, and I wrote it so that you, as the reader, can experience the same thing. Right? See how I did that? Right, so this is what I had in my flash draft. But then I said to myself, I'm going to go back through, I'm going to find something to work on. And when I find that moment in my story, I'm going to really go through it again and try to make it better. Right, I did that with the help of my glasses, and we got here. So your job today is to do the same thing. Now you have your flash draft that's done. You have our charts with the techniques we use to write powerful narratives. And you have the mentor text. Okay? So your job today is to find something in the mentor text that you like. Right? Find one of these techniques that you want to practice today in your notebook. And then you're going to go back through your story. And you're going to go back through your story and edit it, revise it, write on top of it, write on a post-it, stick it in there. Okay? Maybe you're improving the lead. Maybe you're looking for those powerful moments and you want to slow them down and really zoom in. Maybe you want to go through all of your dialogue and make sure it's realistic. Okay? It's up to you, but what we're doing today is using our notebooks to practice. Okay? So when I come around and I say, what are you working on today? You're going to tell me one of these. Right? I'm looking at my story. I'm going through my dialogue to make sure it's realistic. Or I'm going through to make sure my dialogue conveys some information about my character's personality. Okay, that's your job for today. So I want you to start right now on the carpet. So with the mentor text in your notebooks, find the thing you're going to work on. Okay? You may already have that technique in your head right now. You say, oh, I know I got to work on my dialogue. I knew it wasn't so great yesterday when I wrote it. I want to work on that. So if that's you, you go do that now. If you're not sure, go to the mentor text and ask, what's the author doing here that I really like? What do I want to do in my writing? You find that, you go write. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if you know what to do. Okay, I don't see all the thumbs. Did you have a question? Somebody had a question. Mark.
I didn't write the first
Why?
because I was doing
You're
that.
proceeding up to send the library.
Okay, you write it now.
Wow.
So you can go back to your chairs when you have the technique that you want to practice. Okay, and I'll be around to work with you. Okay? So you're working right now.